All right, so we've got a few delegates here that went to the National Convention in California, in Los Angeles, for Branch 458. There were 14 of us total. I'll let everybody introduce themselves as we get to them. I'm Casey Ritchie. We just wanted to record how we thought the convention went while we were there. A little bit of what we took away from it, things we've learned, things we wanted to tell our members. So I'll go first, and then whoever wants to go after me, and feel free to unmute and tell the members what you want to tell them. Kind of what I took away from it, I really enjoy going to the workshops that are there. They offer workshops in the AM and the PM, Monday through Thursday of the convention. Monday, I in the morning, I went to the city delivery class. That's where they talk about different things that have updated since the last convention. They talked about the vehicles that they're testing that have come out, the problems that we're having with vehicles, things like that. So that was a very interesting class. In the PM, I went to managing branch finances with Dave Dorsey. He's taught a lot of classes that I've gone to, branch officers training, and so he always has a good perspective because he's an accountant, and so he's able to tell you what they look for and things that branches get in trouble for and how we can stay out of hot water. Tuesday morning, I worked at the Leadership Academy booth, so I didn't attend any classes, but I was there to educate people that were there about the Leadership Academy that National offers. And then in the PM, I did local negotiations. We talked about strategies, things to do, what to ask for, things to give up potentially, so that we can gain things in the future for our members. And then Wednesday morning, I did research and resources for stewards, which talked a lot about the resources that we have that National Office offers so that we can use when we're representing members locally. A lot of them are like the Defenses to Discipline, the Shop Stewards Guide, navigating the website that we have, and then also through the members only portal, which every member can log on to by going on to nalc.org. The rest of the week's classes, unfortunately, were canceled. The workshops were canceled because of a motion passed during convention because of all the business that we had to take care of. And that's what happens between the AM and the PM classes. Uh, so during that time, we're in convention in the hall. I'm sure people have seen pictures of it, and we're voting on the business of our membership. Um, we passed a resolution that we actually voted on at a branch meeting to have an official bargaining position of fighting to get the overtime list changed so that work assignment, if you choose to sign up on work assignment list, you can also sign up on the non-scheduled day list at the same time. So now that is our official bargaining position as the NALC because it passed. That doesn't mean that we can do that yet. It just means that we're going to fight for that now, and it's our official bargaining position. Um, and that's kind of what I took away from the convention. I wish that we could have got to the later classes. There were several that I wanted to go to later on in the week. I know I had written down to go to the How Interest Arbitration Works Wednesday evening, not because I don't know how it works, but because there were two of our NALC attorneys that were going to be there and give us their insight of kind of how they approach that. We could probably ask them questions. So that would have been very good to go to. Thursday, the contract administration unit, and then defenses to discipline. So those are a few classes that I was really looking forward to later in the week that unfortunately we didn't get to. Other than that, I felt like our convention could have been a little bit more productive. Um, but overall, I think we did the business of the membership, and I'll quit talking now and let someone else have a turn. So, uh,
I'll
Ryan,
jump
you want
in.
to go?
Yeah.
All right, just introduce yourself and then go for it.
Okay. I'm Ryan Self. I'm the shop steward at Midwest City. I am a trustee for Branch 458. This was my first convention, and I got a lot out of it. As with Casey, the workshops were very helpful. Me and the other trustees, the two other trustees, we went to a bunch of classes specifically geared towards trustees, and that was very helpful. We got a lot out of that. We got some good ideas about how we'd like to handle things moving forward. Um, but I think you know, the convention itself, as I said, it was my first one, and it was. I remember walking in the first day and just taking it all in, and you see 6,000 people on the floor, and it was just kind of like a political rally, like the Democratic National Convention, and everybody's sitting in their state and region and branch, and they've got their banners and whatnot. It was very very exciting, and I would like more people to experience that. Uh, I think there are a lot of people who feel like they can't make a difference, and what's it matter if I go to a union meeting or if I go get involved? I'm just one person. What can I do? Well, you can do a lot, turns out. There are people at the convention. He got up and made their case for whatever resolution that they wanted to get passed. And I think a lot of people were hearing these for the first time as they were laying out their case. And there were certainly some things that people spoke on that kind of turned my way towards thinking the way they were. So I do want to. One of the big things I took away is that you should get involved, because if you do get involved, you can make whatever changes you think you need to make. You got to start at your local. Every other year we do this at state, and then the other years we do it on the national level. So come to a meeting, air your grievances. I like Christy Bowers and I guess the guy from Lawton. They wrote a whole bunch of resolutions and they got them passed at their local branches, and then that went up to national. So I don't, like you said, I think a lot of them got shot down, but some of them did get through. I don't know how many from Lawton got through, but yeah, if there's something you don't like, you're not going to do anything to change that. Just complaining. You got to get involved. You got to roll up your sleeves. It's one meeting a month. It's an hour a month. Show up, get informed, and stay involved. But that's pretty much all I've got.
Thanks, Ryan. Who wants to go next?
Chris Prieto, Branch 458, Oklahoma City. um, we learned that about Robert's rules, and that's how the whole assembly works. Um, but yeah, just a rough, just like a event, like a time of events. Like when we got there Sunday, we went to get a registration, and when we got registered for the whole convention. There was a reception that night where you could mingle and meet other letter carriers from across the country. It was nice to run into old friends. Um, each morning we where I was staying in an Airbnb about 2 miles away. So every morning I would ride the Lime scooter all the way to the convention, and from there we had our hour and a half training session to begin with, and then every day between the workshops, there's a 5 hour session, and that's just where we all assemble. And I think it's good for us to be able to assemble in a large group and air our grievances. Get to voting on how we want the union to progress, or what fights we want to fight, what causes we want to fight for. Um, I do wish we would have been able to have more workshops, but there was a lot of stuff we had to deal with legislation wise and resolution wise with amending our constitution and what we want for in the next what we want to fight for in the next contract. Um, so besides that, it was a lot of a lot of session. Um, and I just I think everyone should be a part of it. I mean, you definitely have to. I know there's a lot of people that have issues with how things are working in the union or how the contracts being resolved, and this is the only way you can be involved. If you want things to change, you have to show up. You have to attend the meetings necessary so you can be a delegate. And when you're a delegate, you can be a voice of the union. And that's the only way you're going to be a voice of the union. And that's all I got.
Thanks, Chris. All right, who wants to go next? Eric, you want to go?
All right. This is Eric Robinson. I'm the union steward at 39th Street. I'm one of the trustees, along with Ryan South, the gentleman spoke just a little bit ago. And yeah, the convention was exciting. This is my second one that I got to go to. To any branch members that are listening to this, it was, our collective union dues that paid for the plane tickets and the boarding and some of the meals. And so I want to thank everybody for sending us. I want to say we had, what was it, Casey? 13 or 14 delegates that went from branch 458. How many was it?
We had 14 total.
14, yeah. And there was a couple of people have mentioned resolutions. And I have my resolution book here in my hand. There were 79 national agreement resolutions. So these are resolutions that different branches or state associations passed, got sent to national. The executive board in advance of the national convention would go over it, make either a recommendation to approve it or not approve it, and then that would be presented to the membership. And so they'd give us a big book at the beginning of the week so we could take some time, go through, kind of look at them. But there was a ton of them. There was then 37 general resolutions. Those kind of more dealt with how we conduct our union. The national resolutions, the ones I mentioned that had 79, those are for different bargaining positions that if we voted it up or voted it down, that lays the course for how our national officers negotiate for the next contract. And then there was, I believe, 7 or 8 legislative amendments. Well, I guess there was a little bit more than that now that I'm looking at 7 or 8 legislative amendments. We had approximately, flipping through this book here, about 40 constitutional amendments or so for our NALC Constitution. So just a lot of business. And so that took probably a good 3.5 straight days. We'd get there at early in the morning around 7:30. The session would start at 8 on some of the days where we voted to move it up a little bit so we'd get more of the business done. And that was pretty much Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, which we extended 3 hours past the normal time because they were going to close the convention at noon. We ended up staying 3 hours longer. So for me, this was not a vacation. This was definitely a business trip. So voting on that business was very important. And then seeing, kind of like what Ryan mentioned, 6,000 people, in this massive room, it was breathtaking, and it was really neat to be a part of that. They call it the Supreme Body. The first couple of days, we did get workshops to attend. I also attended the ones with Ryan and Mark Simone on trustees. One class was over branch finances. There was one about fraud, kind of letting us as trustees know what to be on the lookout for. And so that's kind of what your trustees do. Quarterly we come together and audit the books, make sure nobody's ripping us off. The class I probably took the most from was one on recruiting and mentorship. And to kind of piggyback on what Ryan mentioned earlier about coming to the meetings, I know there's some people that will be listening to this that don't come to branch meetings. for one reason or other, I'd highly encourage you to get involved and start coming each month. We want your input, we want your voice, and yeah, I'd love to have some of y'all join us in Minneapolis in 2 years. Kind of got a little fire sparked in me at this convention in regards to union organizing, and basically what that is trying to stir up the membership to get involved and participate. Because each station you got just a couple of members of management, but man, we got anywhere from 20 to 45, 50 carriers in each station, and we need to be united. And part of the way you have that unity is by coming to your monthly meeting. And if you can't attend some months, you can get on Zoom and kind of participate in our meetings that way. So I could go on for a bit. There was quite a few classes the first few days that were a lot. It was just a great experience. And that's pretty much what I got. So once again, thanks for sending us. We, really did our best for the branch.
Thanks, Eric. Joyce, you want to go?
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, this is Joyce Elizondo, and I'm the steward out of Clinton. And this is my second convention that I went to. It is always so interesting listening to all the proposals is that the word I'm looking for, that they have in the book. And I know there was one about the address changes and the way that they do that now. And I know I dealt personally with that proposal with a Spanish speaking customer of mine. And, there's not very many people at my office that can speak Spanish. So he was upset because his change of address didn't go in, and he doesn't understand the whole process of you actually have to go in with your ID to get it changed and stuff like that. So I was glad to see that proposal was up and that it needs to be changed, most especially for the elderly that can't get out. You've got people that are language barriers and stuff like that. So it definitely needs to be tweaked. One of the classes that I attended was city delivery. And, I thought it was going to be like the M41 and stuff like that, but it was more about the keys, the new keys that they're coming out with. And they were talking about how they are timed. And I thought, and they were even discussing how, that really there's a lot of tweaks and stuff that need to be helped on. We don't have that in my office or any of the other 3 offices that I'm stewards at. So I was interested in finding out a little bit more, and I was a little shocked to see that there's so much problems with them, as much money that they're spending, to get that implemented with all the robberies and stuff of those keys. That they have to be timed, and then there's issues like if a CCA comes out to a regular carrier and gets those keys and they're not literally keyed for that route, they literally have to drive all the way back to the office to get that keyed or programmed for that route. And it's just there's so many issues with it. And they said OIG had to program that. Management doesn't even have control over that. It was very eye-opening to see the problems that they have with that. And, with all the robberies and thefts of those, it really needs to be taken care of, because that that's dealing with our lives, our safety. And we have to keep the mail lock and key, and then it's still a problem. Sitting in there in general session and listening, like someone else mentioned, that we're sectioned off into states. And I think we had Tulsa and Lawton and Oklahoma City present in our area. And it was nice to see some familiar faces, but also nice to see people that I had met from previous convention that I went to. It's just really eye-opening. I attend a lot of my Stewart meetings via Zoom. I can't drive to Oklahoma City. Sometimes I do a couple of times, a year. But if you're interested, in which you should be, because if you're paying dues, you really need to be present. And just because you live an hour or so away doesn't mean that you can't attend these meetings. You can attend them via Zoom like we're doing now and be informed. We're here for you. And thank you so much for allowing me to go and learn some more information about our daily duties, you know? Um, and I hope to go next time, which is in 2 years. What did they say I can't say it.
Minneapolis.
Minneapolis. Yeah. So get involved. There's so much to learn. And you know,
I agree. Thank you, Joyce.
thank you.
Andrew?
Okay, there I am. Just trying to unmute myself. Andrew Molina out of 39th Station. I'm a carrier. Yeah, that was that was an eye opener. That was a lot of carriers in one room. It was my first convention. I took the contract administration unit class and the TSP class, and there was one more class I took. I can't remember what it was, but anyway, yeah, that was a lot to take in. I'm trying to vote on those amendments and resolutions, and then all the stuff that went on between. And yeah, I'm not good at speaking, so um, yeah, so had a lot of fun. It was interesting.
That's all right. So it was yours and Ryan's first convention.
Yeah.
What did compared to what you thought it would be to what it actually was it anything like you thought it'd be?
So in my mind, I envisioned a stadium, not like floor seating like we had in the convention. I imagined for some reason like Lloyd Noble Center, like a stadium. That's what I envisioned the room to look like. So it was nothing like what I expected in that term. Um, yeah, it was a lot to take in, especially on
Yeah.
how the way that we operate, like the whole call to question division, voting for, voting, like there's just a lot in there as far as how we vote and everything.
Yeah, it's like a branch meeting, but
It's
way
huge,
bigger.
yeah, way bigger. And
Well, we're glad you were able to be there.
yeah, I plan to go to the next one. I even had a carrier ask me about it in my office as to how it went, and I told him if you go to so many meetings, you can go as a delegate. And I think he said he's going to start trying to come to the meetings. So, and he's more senior than me,
Awesome.
so yeah, maybe we can get more people to go because we're
I
we're a
hope
big
so.
branch. We need more people to go. Are we 1,000? What 1,000 members in our branch?
Yeah, we're about 1,000 members.
That's a pretty big branch compared to some of these little ones. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Well, I'm glad you were
Well, I mean,
there.
yeah, no, what are we, 51 member delegates is what we get to every national convention? Is that or was it
Uh,
47 or something like that?
I think this one we had 47. Um, we could send 47 delegates.
Well, I mean, there you go. We got a lot of room for people to come and have their voice heard and make a difference.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, thank you. David, you want to go?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Sweet. I was trying to get my audio set up. That's why I was late coming in. My audio would not work. So I apologize for the late arrival. So my name is David Miller. I'm a letter carrier at West Side Station in Oklahoma City. Aside from that, I also work for NELC headquarters based out of the Denver office. So I'm a delegate at the convention on behalf of Branch 458 because I am still a member of Branch 458. And I'm also assigned to work at the convention. So I'll give you both of my experiences, first as a delegate, second as an employee working at the convention. And I don't mean to give them to you in that order. I'm just going to give them to you kind of simultaneously. I had to arrive on Friday because we had to get things set up for our booths out there on the show floor, not the convention floor, but where the exhibits and stuff were at. And for those that have never been, there are a lot of different exhibits where you can go and visit. There's an exhibit. This year, there was an exhibit for the Postal Record magazine. There was an exhibit for workers' compensation. We have a staff of 12, and we were pretty busy the whole week we were there. There is an exhibit for the Muscular Dystrophy Association. There's an exhibit for veterans. There's an exhibit for the Legislative Action Department where you can go make sure you're signed up for the letter carrier political fund. And based on your contributions, they give you maybe a tumbler or a cooler or a shirt or something. And I just did my initial visit over there. There was a lot going on in the political booth all week long. I just did my initial visit at the beginning of the week, get it out of the way because I had to work. Additionally, there were representatives there from the Health Benefit Fund, along with not the Health Benefits Fund, but the Health Benefits Program. Along with the Health Benefits Program, though, they also had representatives from Cigna, from Hinge Health, and two other contractors that work with, I think CVS was there and one other one that work with NELC Health Benefits Program. So if you had questions about your health benefits and you have NELC health insurance, somebody was there that could answer your question. We had a booth on retirement. We had Nina from headquarters and Dan Toth that helped it sometimes. He's our director of retired members at headquarters. They were there to answer questions for a lot of people about upcoming retirement or planning ahead for retirement. There was also a booth about NALCREST, which is the nation's only union-owned retirement community. There's a community in Colorado that is set up. It's owned by the NELC, and only NELC members that are retired can live there. There was a couple of other booths, and I'll be honest with you, I don't remember what all of them were. So I worked the booth part day on Monday, part day on Tuesday, part day on Thursday, part day on Friday. I was in the delegate hall all day Wednesday and for parts of the other days. This was my 13th convention, with my first being in 2000 in Chicago, Illinois. I've been to a number of different places. One thing, and Chris was touching on it when I first dialed in about how this is a working convention. Eric mentioned it too, and people for some reason think that we're getting to go on paid vacations. Let me tell you, this is the furthest thing from a vacation. If you want to take vacation, you got to take extra days, man, because I'm working from 7:30 in the morning until sometimes midnight at night while I'm at convention. And I'll give you an example of the midnight. We don't get the resolutions book until you check in to be a delegate. I checked in on Saturday to be a delegate because that's when registration open was on Saturday. And either Sunday night or Monday night, I don't remember which, I sat outside my hotel on a bench until 1 o'clock in the morning with a couple of others going through the resolutions book. We were discussing the resolutions back and forth, and I'm talking general resolutions, contract resolutions, legislative resolutions, and constitutional amendment resolutions that were all proposed. We discussed them all at length, what we like about them, what we don't like about them. We reviewed the executive council's recommendation of approval or disapproval. If we agreed with it, why we agreed with it. If we disagreed with it, why we disagreed with it. So this is a working event from the moment you touch down practically to the moment you take off, unless you plan extra days. And in Branch 458, historically, we have never paid for lost time to go to the convention. Casey, is that still correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
So you're taking annual leave. You're taking your own leave to go to the convention. It's what we've always done it. And most branches across the country are the same way, with few exceptions. It's too cost burdensome to pay for everybody's lost time to go to the convention. So, our branch doesn't have a specific attendance requirement. You're expected to exercise due diligence and care to spend the branch's money wisely. And what I mean by spend that, I mean they spend the money on your behalf for your airfare, your room and board, local expenses, transportation expenses, etc. You got to make sure that money is spent wisely on behalf of the branch. So when I was in there in the convention hall, I saw a majority of our branch's members at most times in there in the convention. We also had, might have been Joyce that mentioned it, other branches that were there as well. And what they do when you arrive at the convention floor is sectioned out into regions 1 through 15. The regions get to pick where they want to sit at in the exhibit or the convention hall based on criteria established by headquarters. The hosting region is always the first to get picks. Now, where the states sit within that assigned regional area is up to the business agent. In our region, our business agent, John Robles, did a little comparison of the states. He took and ranked each for, and I'm hoping I remember all this right, food drive, collection, MDA participation, organizing rate, and one or two other criteria, and he merged them together to a single score to figure out, okay, if Oklahoma ranked number one out of the 5 states, you get to pick where at in the Region 4 area you want to sit. So that's how the states were organized. And then within the state, it's just a free for all. So we had branch 458 there from Oklahoma City, branch 1358 from Tulsa. We did not have anybody from Enid or Stillwater. Shawnee, branch 883, was present. I was glad to see them. I think there was 2 or 3 of them there, including Corey Lee, who used to be our steward at branch 458 in Bethany, Oklahoma about 15 years ago. Was good friends with Corey back in the day, so it's great to see him again. We also had branch 1123 Lawton, Oklahoma. And I think those are the only 4 branches present from Oklahoma. Casey, does that sound right?
Yeah, that's all the branches I saw there.
Yeah. Usually Stillwater's there, and usually Enid is there. For whatever reason, they were not. John Walford had a conflict; he could not attend. I think there was a family issue going on, but I don't know that for certain. That's just what I was told. So branch 1042 was not there either. But you're paying attention during the class. You're listening to either maybe a guest speaker might come on between discussions on resolutions. But the resolutions book this year had so many resolutions. It was so thick. It was twice as big as any resolutions book I have ever seen at any convention in my life going to these conventions. And like I said, this is my 13th convention. I've been to one every 2 years with the exception of the one we skipped. They canceled the convention during COVID in 2020. So this would have been my 14th. Twice as many resolutions as I've ever seen. And one good thing that headquarters does, if you submit a resolution that has already been adopted by the body in the past, they disapprove it because it's already been adopted. And the reason they disapprove it is just saying, well, look, this is already our position. We're not going to address it during this convention. And that's just to expedite things. Even with adoption of a lot of the executive council approved resolutions at the beginning, this still did not go fast enough where we can get all of our business done. Business is from 10 to 3 every day. There's no lunch breaks. Before that and after that, there are classes for the delegates to attend. The classes start at 7:30 in the morning, and they start 30 minutes after the conclusion in the afternoons. And while we're scheduled to end at 3, we don't hardly ever end at 3. I attended classes Monday morning, Monday afternoon, Tuesday morning, Tuesday afternoon. I did the ERT and EAP class on Monday. I helped facilitate a workers' compensation class on Monday afternoon and Tuesday afternoon. And I'll be honest, I don't remember what class I took Tuesday morning. It's been a couple of weeks. So all the classes are always educational. When I was first starting out, I always thought the contract administration unit class was one of the most beneficial that I could get education from as a steward or a branch officer trying to enforce a national agreement. And also the class on city delivery, because like Joyce was talking about, they're talking about the new arrow keys and the collection boxes. All those new innovative changes that come about in our craft are discussed in that city delivery class. And usually the director of city delivery, which right now is Chris Jackson, and then the city delivery staff that works at headquarters, they all participate in it as well. So a lot of contention going on right now in our union. There's a lot of that animosity going on the floor during debate over the resolutions. A lot of those the resolutions that were submitted by those parties that I don't want to be tacky here, and I'm not trying to be. I'm trying to find a proper term, that are butting heads against the administration. I guess that's a nice way to put it. A lot of those resolutions were defeated, but some were adopted. In some cases, there were resolutions that were recommended for disapproval by the executive council, and the body said, no, that's not what our position is. We are overturning your decision, and we are adopting this position. So ultimately, the body always speaks at the convention. The body has the final say. And we saw that in the convention 2 years ago, too, when it was very contentious over stuff going on at headquarters. And the body said, no, we're not putting up with that. We demand a correction of course on what our business is going to be. And by vote, we demanded that correction of course. And there were consequences with it. So anyway, it's a great event. I got talked into going to it when I was first starting out. I started Caramel in 1996, became a steward in 98, an officer in 99. And I only became an officer because I kept going to the Union Hall, and Don Landis and Jerry DeBello, both of them are deceased now, just kept saying, "Hey, man, you come down here and bug us every day as a steward, you might as well start getting paid for it. We have a vacancy. We're going to make you an officer." So I would go down there, do my officer's work, and learn at the same time. And I have no regrets over that. First convention came along 2000 with Chicago. Chicago is one of my favorite cities in the United States. I'm a Chicago Cubs fan. So there was no way I could say no to going to that convention. Let me tell you, my first time walking into that convention center, it was at the old McCormick Place. I was floored that many people could fit in one room that were not at a sporting event. I had no idea they make buildings that big. And of course, I was 25 years old. I was young. I'm 51 now. And it still floors me. And we don't have as many letter carriers that attend the convention now as we did, 20 years ago, but it's still a huge body. And Sunday night, they always have like a social gathering where there's some food and beverage that can be had there. And they might have some live entertainment, music or magicians or whatever the local thing is. I remember when we were in Hawaii in 2004, they had like a luau entertainment set up. So there's always something to do from the moment you touch the ground at the destination city. Usually there are organized dinners in the evenings. And those dinners aren't comp. You're paying for them. There's organized events. You're paying for it. The branch doesn't comp you for all that. There's a lot of expenses that we endure as delegates that we never get compensated for, but we do it because we enjoy what we're doing to represent our members. We do it because we enjoy educating ourselves so we can educate our members, and we do it because it's just the right thing to do. So I've got nothing else, Casey, unless you got any questions.
Yeah, thank you, David. We got Mark left, and then after that, if anyone wants to go back around and say whatever, and we'll be done. Mark, you want to go ahead?
Does he know how?
All right. Well, while he figures out how to unmute, if anyone wants to say anything, feel free.
Yeah, I'll circle back around. And David was just kind of recounting his story of induction into the union. It's a lot like mine. I came to one meeting about 2 years ago, and I was swiftly put into a steward's class and became the steward at my shop. And then they was like, "Hey, we need somebody to be a trustee. Why don't you run for that spot?" And yeah, so when we say come out and get involved, it's because we got plenty of stuff for people to do. So I think Mark's got his unmuted, so let's let him speak his piece.
Sorry
Introduce
about
yourself and go for it.
Yeah, my name's Mark Simone. For those of you who don't know me, uh, I'm a steward in Oklahoma City, a branch trustee, and I don't like I said I got on here late, but I don't know what everybody else talked about. But for my takeaway from this convention, as a carrier with 27 years, I attended the retirement planning class this year, and it had a very lot of knowledgeable information that most people don't think about. They just think, okay, I'm just going to retire and I'm going to disappear into the woods. But this class really had a lot of planning stuff that you can do as a carrier prior to retirement for your whole entire state for the whole rest of your life. Like how to set up a trust, if you need a will or just a trust, depending on what kind of assets you had, and all kinds of things. You can have certain different types of trusts to where you can have your estate portioned out to different people in your family or whoever you want it to go to. But I caught the end of David's session, and there are a lot of classes. And there's a lot of work that people truly do and see that people just think we're going there to have a good time, and we're not. We're there working from sun up to sundown pretty much, and it's a lot of work, and on behalf of everybody, not just me personally, but on behalf of the entire branch and the entire union. So, but that was my biggest takeaway this year. I have the slides. I can send them to anybody who wants them. Because I took pictures of each slide that gives you a detailed list of how uh, to plan your retirement. Naturally, you're going to need a retirement advisor, but hopefully everybody has somebody like that later on in years to where they can start planning retirement and do that type of stuff. So, but like I said, I just wanted to jump on and give a short little synopsis of that. But like I said, I have all the slides. I can send them to Casey, and Casey can put them on the website, or he can send them to whoever. If we,
Well, I think actually that all those slides are they available on the members only from the NALC website? I think someone said that.
They're not available yet, but they will be available on the members only. Just like they've done, I think the last couple conventions, they've made all those available for members to look at and review for every workshop.
okay, well then eventually all those slides will be up there, so it'll help you teach you how to plan your retirement once you get closer to the end. Or you can even start doing it now. Like I said, the sooner the better. That way you don't have to worry about doing it later. That was another key point to that class. As long as you have it in place, you know, you don't have to worry about, well, who gets my car, who gets my house. You already have it planned out and all that stuff. So,
Mark, am I going to get your house?
no, I actually have 6 kids that I have to split it with. So,
Okay.
yeah, they're going to be fighting over that one.
All right. Thank you, Mark. Well, I just want to say thank you guys for getting on here. We've been on for about 45 minutes or so on a Sunday. You're devoting your time now. Thank you for representing the branch and being a delegate in LA. I know I definitely appreciate it. Hopefully the members appreciate it. We'll go around again here before we adjourn if anyone wants to say any final thoughts. The only other thing that I'll say to our members is I know we don't get political. We don't really endorse anyone as a branch. We've kind of stayed away from that. But there is an election coming up, a very important one. Every one of our national officers, with the exception of 3 of the NBAs, which NBAs only that region can vote on their NBAs anyway. If you're in Region 4, it's John Robles. He won by acclamation. And David wasn't it 4, 5, and 6?
4, 5. Yeah, I think it's 6.
I believe it's 4, 5, and 6 NBAs won by acclamation. The rest of the national officers, there will be an election. So everyone do your research on the national officers and go to their website or contact them directly. Every single one of them, you're able to contact them. If you want to get in touch with them and you don't know how, reach out to me and I'll get you in touch with them. But don't believe everything you're listening to and hearing on the internet about any candidate. There's 4 candidates running for president, and every other position, with the exception of is it the health benefits director? I believe there's 3 people running for that. Every other position, there's 2 people running for every position. So do your research on your candidate and vote. Vote for who you believe is going to be the best person in that position. Make sure your address is up to date with national so you get a ballot. If you're getting the postal record in the mail, they've got your address right. If you're not getting a postal record, contact the members department at the national headquarters in Washington, D.C. It's going to be a 202 area code number. If it's not that, you've got the wrong number. Call them and update your mailing address so that you get a ballot.
That number is 202-393-4695. That's 202-393-4695. A switchboard operator will answer the phone, ask for the membership department. Once you're connected with somebody, let them know that you are a member from branch 458 and that you need to update your mailing address. While you're at it, update your telephone number too.
Great. Thank you, David. With that, that's all I got. If anyone wants to say anything before we close out,
Yeah, I'll
Here's your
give some
chance.
final thoughts, closing arguments. Anybody that's listening to this, share it with at least one person in your office. Let them know, like, hey, our delegates from our branch, went up to the national convention and they took about 45 minutes on Sunday and kind of talked about, what they experienced, what they did, then gave out some information. That way, kind of more of our members, maybe some people that normally don't listen to the podcast, can get some of this information. And I did want to just echo what Casey said. Very important election coming up since we're going to be voting on national officers, and that kind of you know guides our union into the future. And there's a lot of good information out there on social media, different podcasts. Just really take any podcast though with a grain of salt, because some of them can be very I guess opinionated, which I'm a very opinionated guy, but you probably shouldn't listen, to me for, every decision you make out there. So just want to put that in there. Just take stuff with a grain of salt and really try to, do the best you can and kind of see both sides of of a topic or about a candidate. A lot of them, I know Nicole Ryan has a Facebook page set up. Lou Drass has a Facebook page set up. Mike Cariff has one as well. And I believe, also probably James Henry has one. You'd have to try to get on there. So that's probably what I would recommend. And thank you for listening. Thank you for your time, everybody.
Thanks for putting it together, Casey.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I think I guess I kind of opened it up, and I want to close with echo my initial sentiment. Please get involved, as many people as possible. A union is only as strong as its members. It can be challenging at times and frustrating, but at the end of the day, it's always very rewarding uh, whenever you get things done. So definitely share this podcast with other people, and let's try to get some interest and increase participation in the branch.
All right. Thank you guys. Y'all have a
All
good
right,
night.
adios.